Hi boys and girls, today we're going to be reviewing characterization and how do we determine characterization and their traits. So what is characterization? It's the methods used by an author to create a character. So then we need to ask ourselves, how do we learn about characters? Well, one way would be through direct characterization. Direct comments by the author about a character. So that's what the author is telling us directly about the character. They are literally telling you in the text the character's looks, how do they behave, etc. Indirect characterization is where we're learning about a character through their looks, speech, thoughts, actions, and what other characters say about them. So we have to kind of infer and look at all these pieces to create our characterization. The motivation is a reason that explains a character's thoughts, feelings, actions, or behavior. So why do they do the things that they do? Remember to look at what the characters say, do, and think about when you're reading in the text. When we're looking at characters, we also might have what's called protagonist versus antagonist. An antagonist is the character working against the protagonist, so it tends to be the bad guy. For example, Scar in The Lion King would be an antagonist. Whereas the protagonist is the main character whom the story revolves around. So in this case, it would be Simba in The Lion King. Then you have dynamic versus static. Dynamic characters undergo a change in the story, whereas a static character does not grow or change throughout the story. So dynamic is where we see a shift in their personality and things that they used to do, say, and think, versus static, they kind of stay consistent and are the same throughout the whole time. Then you have flat versus round characters. A flat character is a character who is not developed by the author, whereas a round character is who is fully developed by the author, meaning flat character, we're going to have to take what we read and develop our characters, whereas round, we're given all the qualities that we need to know who the character is. So here's some examples just to kind of think about. So a static character would be Lord Farquaad from Shrek. A dynamic character would be Shrek, going from that angry, hostile ogre to a more loving, caring ogre at the end. And Lord Farquaad clearly never changed. He was the same kind of bad guy throughout the entire story. A flat character, which we know limited information, is, like Dory in Finding Nemo. We know limited about her because of her amnesia, and we're having to piece together things about her as we go through the story. Whereas a round character, we know everything about this character in Finding Nemo. So character traits, lists, and examples. Take a moment and read over this, and I want you to think about it for a second. Okay? So remember, character traits are the individual characteristics and qualities that make characters from books, stories, movies, plays, and other art forms come to life for readers. So using the following list of characters, traits as guidelines when writing book reports and essays about the different characters you've read about, don't stop with this list though. You can probably think of many more terms to describe your characters. So here's some examples of values, morals, and belief character traits. If you want, take a moment and pause so you can look through the list and read over, kind of think about these different types of traits. Here's a list of physical and emotional character traits. Again, pause here so you can look through the list and kind of get a deeper understanding. Again, this is not the only list of words, but this is a good general idea to better understand. And then personality character traits. Again, here's a list. You can pause and look over and notice maybe there's some character traits that you would use to describe yourself, a friend, a family member. And again, there's a lot more to this. This is just a simple list for us to kind of get a gist and idea of personality character traits. Just like real people, literary characters have behaviors, attitudes, traits, and beliefs that give them a unique personality. These can be surface characteristics like personality or physical traits, or they can be deeply held values and morals. Writers develop characters with mirage traits to help readers build empathy or antipathy, relate to the narrative, create realism, and develop various plot points and storylines.